that one.
All right, hello and welcome everybody. This is the March Builder Town Hall, and we've got a fantastic panel today to do a Builder Show recap, but not just to tell you about how great it was or how many people were there or the fact that you couldn't get a burger or a drink without waiting 45 minutes and there was nowhere to sit to do that. Instead, what we hope to do is share with you some of our ahas, to dos, and maybe even some to don'ts, as Carrie says, that we picked up along the way. We know that many of you attended, but there's so many things to see. There's a lot of scheduling conflicts, so you might have missed some sessions that you wish you could have gotten to. But also, probably the majority of you didn't get to attend, and for whatever reason. And we're hoping to bring down some FOMO for you and share some learnings with you so that you feel like, hey, I got a little something out of it as well. And I didn't even have to get on a plane, pay for food, wait in line for a hamburger, or get the flu. So, with that said, if we haven't met, I'm Meredith Oliver. I'm the president and founder of Meredith Communications. We do digital marketing for home builders. We work with builders all over the United States and a couple in Canada. And what we do is help them grow their online presence to generate more leads that convert into sales. We've been doing it a long time and we love what we do. I can't imagine doing anything else. My partners in crime,
Da-da.
well, Builder Town Hall crime, I should say, along this journey are Carrie Mulcrone of Carrie and Co. and Angela McKay of O'Neill Interactive. And the three of us together are Builder Town Hall. So we presented a live session at the Builder Show. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was at capacity. We had a few little surprises. We did our usual thing that we do. We presented a topic called Marketing 2024, and we will be bringing an encore version of that presentation to Builder Town Hall so that you get that full presentation for anybody who missed it or was just so enthralled that you've got to sit through it again. The Builder Show, my perspective or my impressions of it, it was packed, record-breaking attendance at 76,000 attendees. So
Oh, Lord.
definitely lots of people there. And that is not including the kitchen and bath show, which I think adds another 20 or 30,000 to it. So I think so by the time you add it all together, it's a lot of people in the same place at the same time. Um, Energy was good, very positive, but I will say the sales and marketing folks, and I don't know, Carrie and Angela, if you would agree or not, they looked a little, just like a little war weary, like just a little like it's been a hard year. like like we need to be in Vegas. We need this jolt. We need this pump up of excitement because we've had a hard year. And I could kind of see it on people's faces, that need for some inspiration and some motivation. So I think that is great that they came, and I think that it serves that purpose. Lastly, Carrie, Angela, and myself, we were very honored to represent Builder Town Hall at the Nationals. If you're not familiar, the Nationals is the quote unquote Oscars of sales and marketing for home builders in our industry. And we were honored to represent Builder Town Hall, which was recognized as a silver finalist for Best Professional Insights Series. And we were just really proud to do that. And we had a great time doing that and getting all dressed up and doing our thing. So with that, let me introduce our panel and we'll just kick this thing right off. You might notice that we have with us today Shannon Robinson and not Samantha Daughtry of Piedmont Residential. Sam had a last minute emergency conflict. So Shannon agreed to jump in at about 7:30 last night. And I am so grateful to her. Shannon is a senior marketing manager at Epcon. Now, do we say Epcon Communities, Shannon? I want to say it exactly correctly.
Oh, you're on mute.
Epcon Communities. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And the cool thing, one of the reasons that she came to my mind, this may not have really worked in your favor, or it might, depending on how you look at it, Shannon, is their team came in force. And you had days where you all had matching shirts at the show. Like you had really put thought. And wouldn't mind hearing a little bit about that if you want to share. But your team at Epcon really came and represented. And so when I was trying to think, like, who do I know that was there? And who do I know that takes good notes that could share? I was like, Shannon. So here she is. So thank you, Shannon. Welcome to the panel. Corey Charles is with us. He's the founder of the Superhero Mindset. And Corey, of course, presented several sessions. You were either on a panel or presenting multiple sessions. You were all over the show, perhaps best dressed as well, award winner. And so we're looking forward to what you have to share. And then Dusty Talbert, we are so happy to have you. Dusty's with the Providence Group. He's director of marketing. And we know that your experience across several builders throughout your career is going to bring some real insights and grounding to what we're going to talk about today. So we're glad you're here. Yeah, so let's jump in. Was this anybody's first IBS? Any of you? Are you all veteran attendees?
Usually a veteran here.
I know, right? I don't even want to say how many. Right? Okay, so it wasn't anybody's first one. All right, so I mean, how many times do you think you've been? Corey, how many IBS shows is this for you?
So I was just doing the math the other day. I think this was number 5 for me. I had to miss last year, unfortunately. So I think that qualifies me as like near veteran status.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah, getting close. So this
there.
is number 5 for me.
That's good. Dusty, what do you think? If you ballparked it, how many do you think you've attended?
Ballpark, it's around 3 or 4, but it has not been since before COVID. So depending on how you would qualify veteran versus newbie, it's been several years. I guess I might qualify as a newbie.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, COVID was this huge interruption that almost makes you feel like you start over on things. So I get that. And Shannon, how about you?
This is only my 3rd year. So just since I joined,
Okay.
I attended.
Okay, cool. All right, so we have a nice mixture of kind of been there, seen it. So Corey, you would have been to both Orlando and Vegas. Shannon and Dusty, have you all been to Orlando or you just done Vegas?
Both.
Okay, cool. All right, so you've had both experiences. That's good. All right, so Shannon, let's just big picture, like what was your favorite aspect of the show or of being there or the experience?
It's funny, I was thinking about it beforehand, and I don't know if I can pick one thing. I think it's the energy that's there. There's so many ideas. There's getting to see people who you haven't seen in a year. Obviously, we've talked about that my entire team was there, and some of us are remote workers, so getting to spend that time together really was important. So, but energy is probably the key for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need that energy. It doesn't matter how much you love your job or how passionate you are, getting energized is important. Dusty, how about you? What's like kind of your favorite aspect of
For me, it would be networking. You get to see a lot of people, and I spent a little bit of time out of the industry for about a year and a half, so getting to jump back in and reconnect with people that I haven't seen in years, some of whom I think are actually on this this webinar right now. So reconnecting with people, I'm really big on relationships and just meeting face to face, and it's always nice to meet people in person than it is behind a screen sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Corey, how about you?
Well, it's funny. We often hear it referred to as kind of the Super Bowl of our industry, and I think that's spot on. But this year, it also felt like a class reunion, which, it was really amazing to reconnect. Maybe it's because I took a year off, but it's really great
Yeah.
to kind of get face to face with the people that I've been meeting online over the last year, 2 years, but also connecting with old friends, people that we used to work with, people that we admire. Seeing you three amazing ladies speak is always a highlight. So getting able to come out and see the best of the best in the industry is always exciting. And that to me was my big takeaway of the energy of the room is, hey, let's get us back to that excitement that we need in the home building industry.
It is quite unusual to be part of an industry that gets together and so freely shares with each other and emulates and models for each other best practices when we're not exactly competitors. Some of you are because you're in the same markets, but not all of you, right? Carrie, over the years that you've been going, I mean, you've seen and heard lots of the kind of what we call the greats.
Yep.
And I know that some of those people meant a lot to you in your career when you kicked off and said, I'm taking the leap and I'm going solo.
Yeah. It's funny that all of you guys talked about energy, in person, mentors, and your numbers. So I'll just say I know I've gone to 30 builder shows, and it's more than that. So we'll just stop with 30. And and in the back in the day, Meredith's right. When you find a mentor, I just got an aha moment one year. And actually, I had a conversation with Meredith and our dear friend, bless her soul, Melinda Brody, and said, I think I want to do something here. I'm not really sure what that is. And then, of course, my friend Meredith Oliver went right to having a baby and putting me on the sales rally when she couldn't. That is total baptism by fire. But I
Well,
will
if you
go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Just I think that really quickly from all of you is what you do with those mentors that you see, because we're all readily available to help. Like any person that's on this and you guys could pick up the phone or text me any day, anytime for help. And that's what I love about the Builder Show. And I bet there are people that will attest to they have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you raise
there's-
your hand and tell me you're interested in doing something, be careful what you raise your hand and tell me, because I will sign you up.
Yes.
I will find a way to create that entry path for you, because people did that for me, or I wouldn't have had
Yes.
this career. This was my 22nd time speaking at the show. It used to be consecutive, but I missed the year that since I've been battling the migraine disease, I missed one. So I can no longer say consecutive years speaking, but it was my 22nd, right? I mean, but that's only possible because the few times I went and I introduced myself to people and I raised my hand and I put myself out there and said, I see what you're doing. I like it. And I would like to learn how you're doing that. And they were willing to teach me.
You know what I saw a little bit this year, which I absolutely loved, is there's been a lot of industry people, mastermind groups, and just different groups that have been formed. But what I saw was some marketing individuals who have formed their own master groups and
I
collective,
love that.
just within, and it's their opportunity. The builder show is the opportunity to come together and meet in person, and these people are spread out throughout the country, but come together and brainstorm. They're non-competitive in most cases, and it's really neat to see that and see that grow. Because that's what we
Yeah.
need, sometimes we need to be able to bounce ideas off each other and go, am I out of my mind, or is this on the right track? Am I on the right track?
Yeah. So, regarding the education, switching topics over to the education programs that you attended, what was, and I think I already know the answer to this question, but what would you say was the most talked about? Was there like a topic that like was kind of the buzz of the conference? Anybody want to take that one?
We will say it in unison. I feel like it was AI.
AI.
Yes.
We knew.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wanted the people who didn't get to attend to hear that, because there was so much AI, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a massive topic to be explored. Anybody have any light bulbs about AI that you heard from sessions that you can share or want to share?
I think one that stuck out to me was just the power is in the prompts, and what you put into ChatGPT is going to directly correlate to what you get out of it. I think a lot of us, I'm sure most of us on this webinar, use it day to day in anything we do on the marketing side or the sales side. I know we use it heavily where we're at, but it's something that's continually learning and you continue to improve on. So again, the power is in the prompt. What you put in is going to be directly what you get out.
Yeah, it's garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
For sure. When we say prompt, just making sure we're all on the same page, what we're saying is, when you ask ChatGPT to produce something for you, whether if you say brainstorm a list of blog titles, or if you say write a blog on this topic for you, whatever you put in that request, that's your prompt. And the more specific that is, the better content you're going to receive in return.
And Dusty, to that point, and Meredith, I think AI for sure to everyone and everyone that's on this today, that I know that there's a lot of things in technology that you don't start because you feel stupid or what'll come out. But I am telling you, you can play with that sucker as long or as much as you want, and refine it and refine it and refine it. So it will eventually get you smart. So that's why on the last town hall, I said, when I use it, AI actually get intelligent.
And I think also, I think
go
on the
ahead,
flip side
Corey.
of that, too, I think there was also a reminder, because there was a huge focus on AI, but for me, it was a reminder that AI is a great tool. And I know it's very sexy right now, but it doesn't work without the human input, kind of what Dusty said. It is a tool that we have to use, but it doesn't replace what we do. It's not a magic wand to give us perfect content. It can get you started. It can make things more streamlined and consistent, but it still needs that human touch. And I think that was a good reminder of that, hey, we got to use these tools responsibly and make sure that we're still putting out really quality content.
Yeah, you do have to use it responsibly. I love that terminology for sure. Shannon, anything else to add on the AI that you picked up notes wise?
Just thinking, you talked about the human element of it. It was in one of the sessions, someone called us cyborgs, that it's like the combination of human and machine that make that kind of perfect element. And I thought that was, first I was like a head scratcher, and I was like, no, that actually makes sense. So it was funny to me. What I learned about AI is that I was all about ChatGPT, and there are so many other resources. I was like scribbling notes, from the last Builder Town Hall, but also from all of the sessions we sat in. And one session talked about, I think it was Futurepedia, that actually is a glossary of every AI platform. And I was like, okay, well, that is going on the favorites immediately so I can find what
Yes.
works.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. If you didn't get to listen to, I think it was last month's town hall we did with Chuck Gallagher, right?
It's Chuck
If
Gallagher.
you missed last month with Chuck Gallagher, we did a pretty in-depth AI overview of just playing with a bunch of tools, and he did demo, on-screen demo, which we don't typically do on town hall, but I allowed it so that because it was really interesting what he was doing. So if you didn't catch that, you should go back and rewatch that one. I wouldn't listen to it because I don't think the audio will do you much good. I think it's one you've got to watch the video on. And then when the recordings come out, if you didn't get to attend the show, if you want to purchase the recording package of sessions, yeah, there were plenty of them that you could listen to. I'm sure there were some better than others. And those of you in chat that did attend, if you had picked up any AI tips and you want to throw them in chat, please do. We want to hear from everybody. That's why it's called Town Hall. Okay, so moving from the most talked about topic, let's talk about what did you learn that something you learned that you think will be the most useful to you on like a day-to-day basis, something practical or like a utility type of, and it could be a mindset, it could be a tool, it could be a skill. I'm open to any whatever, but something that's going to be useful to you every day. Anybody want to jump on that one? And we have an idea?
I'll jump on it.
All right, Corey,
Don't
go.
leave me to jump on a grenade. No, I think
Okay.
I think for me there was a couple different things, but what really stood out, it came up in a lot of different sessions and for a lot of different reasons, was authenticity. And I think where that connects to the power of AI, I think there's that connection right there. Is, hey, as great as AI is, it has to have that human touch, that authenticity. And whether we're talking about,
Yes.
I mean, I heard it from branding to sales to culture. I mean, I heard it in so many different sessions talking about bringing our real authentic selves to the job in so many
Oh,
different
I love
ways.
that.
I think that's something
Mhm.
that, I mean, literally we can use that in every aspect of not just our business, but in personal life too, is being as authentic as possible. Obviously, you know, it's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, something I talk about all the time, but it was so exciting and refreshing to hear it talked about so broadly at the show this year.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, Corey,
Steph,
oh, go ahead.
nope, go ahead.
Corey, I think that picking that up for the people that are listening to remember that that authentic self, interestingly enough, was in everything. It did not matter what the program or the topic was. It was. And I really believed that when you narrowed that down and talked about authentic being your genuine self, figure out who your genuine self is. That's your authentic self.
Yeah, because
And
there's
it's
layers, right? There's the
For
person that
sure.
we want people to see, and then there's the real you. And we got to tap into that real you more than the face that we put on sometimes.
Yeah.
yeah. And then someone who's very openly shared about my journey to authenticity for a variety of reasons. You know, I know what it unlocked for me once I finally felt strong enough in my inner core to be that authentic self. uh it's like a whole nother level of your career, but more your relationships and the connections that you make with people. And eventually, the longer you do this, the more you figure out that's what you care about anyway. So, um, Dusty, how about you? Something useful or practical or something you think you'll use on a daily basis?
Something for me, you know, a big focus since I've been, you know, here at TPG for a few months has been just kind of revamping our social media strategy. So going through a few courses, got some good positive reinforcement, sat through a class led by 3 people on this panel. about bringing fun back into your marketing. So I think, if we can't have fun with what we're doing in a day-to-day business, then we're doing something wrong. We, in the home building industry, have the joy and the pleasure of helping people make one of the
Oh,
biggest purchases in their life. So, bringing the authenticity side along with that, but having fun while doing it, and, just putting yourselves out there through social, it's a great way to make sure that we remain top of mind when people do enter the marketplace and want to buy a home.
Yeah, I like it.
yeah.
Shannon, how about you?
Similar in that aha moment that a lot of the talk that I sat through, there was a lot of conversation about making sure that your storytelling and your messaging really spoke to the buyer and not a me, here's what we do, here's what we are, but how that affects the actual people who are consuming the information. And so it's helped me, like one of my takeaways is that kind of reminder to go back and not just read the copy. Is that right? Is it accurate? But does this speak the story? Does it sell? Does it help them make that next step?
Angela, you had a really good line that might have come from Donald Miller. I can't quite remember, or if it was just Angela is a,
Oh,
but you had a really good line in your talk, the three of us did, about this point.
well, yeah, and I spoke about the story brand, what is the name of the book? Story Brand Guide, I believe, by
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Douglas Donald Miller.
Yeah,
Fantastic book. If you have not, it's an
back
older
there
book. I think it's about 7 or 8
somewhere.
years old, but still very much applicable, and talks about putting your buyer as the hero of the story, right? As the hero of their story. And I think the comment I made was that people will open the email they want to receive. So people will absorb and engage with you if they're interested
Yep.
in
Yeah.
what you're providing to them. So,
Yeah.
from a content perspective, you don't want to push, you want to draw them in. And we always have to put ourselves, and we've said this over and over again, put ourselves in the buyer's shoes. What triggers us to open an email, or what triggers us to read more? We've got to think in through the buyer's lens.
Yeah. And the two things, it's funny, you might think that authenticity, where you're being your authentic self and making it about the buyer, making them the hero of the story, are opposing or conflicting ideas. And they're actually the most integrated, complementary ideas, because the way that at least the way I process it is, you can't attract others and understand what your buyer wants or what they want until you know yourself. You have to know yourself first, and that insight, that knowledge then helps you to get to know other people on that deeper level. And that's the when you can make them the hero of the story. Or you can have some fun with them, like Dusty's saying. But you
Yeah.
have to know what they think is fun. Like, fun is not the same for everybody. So you have to kind of do that. And I know that I've misjudged that over the years, but live and learn. And the better you get, the more in tune you get here, the more in tune you can be out there. And I think it works together really well.
Yep.
Um,
Hey, Deb,
okay.
to your point, because it was a really good one, and I want people to remember, I love when you just said that. We talked about in our program that joy is a quality included feature, that we've got. And when I said it, I just went, holy, I won't swear, holy, but yes. And you just reset it. And I'm like, that is, yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Was there something that was discussed, and this might be kind of the same as the last question, but maybe not, something that you made a note that I need to know more about that? Like, maybe you're already dipping your toe in AI and you learned how to do it better, but something that you maybe aren't doing or don't know as much about as you would like to, Anybody kind of have something that they went, I gotta learn about that? Any thoughts on that one?
I have one. If I gotta go, I gotta go.
Yeah, do it. Kick us off.
We need
Come
it.
on.
So
Come on.
I listened to a wonderful speaker that I admire greatly. I think if anyone follows me, you probably know who it is without saying any names. But she spoke about this idea of when we talk about training or coaching is going from consumption to development. And what a great opportunity to have that conversation when we're in a room with 70, 80,000 people that are absorbing a ton of information. How do we take that from just that was a great speech or that was really cool to all the way to application? And how do we make that be part of our transformation outside of just it was a really cool session? And that was something that was almost put me on my heels a little bit. Like that's a great way, number one, for us as content creators to think about what we create, but also just as learners, and I think we all are, is when we go to these amazing shows and events and listen to Builder Town Hall and all that great stuff. How do we take the information and take it all the way to application, not just the stuff
Yeah.
that sounds really cool and it's exciting. We got to actually apply it
Yeah.
and use it. So that was huge for me.
I mean, this would apply to a salesperson talking to a buyer. I mean, this would apply in any communication where you're transferring information, but you want to do so in a way, yeah, I like it. That they're not just consuming it, but they're what? Say the second part again.
Consumption to development.
Yeah.
To development. Oh, I love that. Shannon, I kind of saw your eyes light up a little bit on that one.
She's
Oh,
muted.
You mute.
there you go. Your audio's not kicking in. That's okay.
I love that. I've already written that down, that consumption to development. And what I thought of with that is we've done, because my entire team attends, we are all very good about taking notes. And we've actually already had a kind of session where we took our notes, we came back and we're like, here are our high moments. Here are the things we want to bring in and start working on. And here are the things that we think we need to discuss further. And as a team and collective, and it's interesting, while we all went to different sessions, we also repeated sessions and got different information out of them. So it really makes it more well-rounded for us.
Yeah. I would love for you to share a little bit about your team attending, the thought process of that. Everybody that if you weren't there, you might not realize, like, I don't know if it was every day, but at least one day I saw like a whole block of you in the same shirts. Like you had a whole team kind of aspect, or it seemed like very intentional attendance. So I'd like to hear more about that.
So the day that we wore all the same shirt, it was a Hawaiian shirt that had our logo on it. In addition to being a part of Epcon Communities, we also have a arm of the company called Epcon Franchising. And we were sort of supporting the franchising team with that. And we were doing a session that particular day. The franchising team was doing a session called Catch the Wave. So we were really leaning into that session. Leading up to it, we all had little cards that we were handing out about the session and the happy hour where we served Mai Tais. So it really kind of played into that session. So I know.
Okay. I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, it was quite an investment for them to send your team there,
Yes.
but when you said you've already all met and kind of debriefed and downloaded and compared your notes.
Yes. Yeah, we did that. Like we had our team meeting we scheduled this week and made sure that we all had our notes put together and really just talked through what we saw, what we felt, what we found, and really started to kind of put together our action plan.
Wow. I knew I recruited the right person at the last minute. I told you. Thank you again for agreeing to jump in. That was awesome. Yeah, well, it was very obvious, particularly the day that you had the shirts on, and I just thought that was really neat. I feel like I saw most of you or a good portion of you at the Nationals supporting some finalists maybe that you had.
Yes. We did. We were a finalist in a silver winner in our Dog Days of Summer campaign, which really played off of the one that you talked about in your session, that kind of incorporating fun into all of our marketing. So we were very excited to be nominated for that. And of course, who doesn't love dogs? So,
Yeah.
and then also we were super excited. Our OSC Terrell Turner was the gold winner. So very happy about that.
Woohoo! Congratulations. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's so interesting how over the years, the online sales counselor category, like first we had to even just invent the category. I'm sadly old enough to remember when we sat around in the committee meeting and said, hey, I think we need a category for this. There's people doing this and they're doing great things and they don't belong over in these other categories, we had to make the category. And then a couple people entered, here or there. And then over the years to see it develop into one of the most competitive categories. I mean, it's incredible. And now there's OSC team, there's at least two. Jen's on. She can
Yeah,
probably tell us
she
more.
did. Jen
Um,
just went,
but
"Ooh."
there's multiple online sales counselor categories, and just to be recognizing that many individuals and teams, at least with us as a silver finalist, and then for one out of each category to receive the gold award. I mean, that's amazing. That didn't even exist. So that is progress. um Okay. Future trends. What did you, Dusty, any future trends, or like even did you attend any of the economic outlook sessions, or just kind of like on the horizon stuff that you saw or heard out there?
Yeah, I was hoping to make it to the economic trends one. That's always super, super interesting to me to kind of see what they're forecasting for the future. I did not make that one. But as far as future trends go, it's, not to try to continue to beat a dead horse with, the whole artificial intelligence thing. But again, it's still such a new piece of technology that I think it's going to continue to be used by a lot of people in a variety of
Yeah.
ways. But like we talked about earlier, it's just seeing it as a tool to be used to our advantage and not as one that's to be feared. And it's not here to really replace, anybody's job. There's still going to be a need to take whatever you get out of it and massage it, wordsmith it, and add a level of authenticity to what the machine gives you. But I think that's going to be a continued theme throughout the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about, we were worried that when the internet came along, it would replace realtors. Didn't happen. Then we were worried, when social media came along, that I don't know, what did we think would happen with that? Because maybe it did. I don't know. That might not be a good example.
We still don't know on that one.
That one, the jury is out. Okay. But there's been many pieces of technology waves that have come along where we feared that it would replace jobs. And I would just say that every single time what has happened is the people who ride the wave of early adopters, who learn and grow with the tool, become more invaluable than ever. And the people who figuratively cross their arms, and refuse to move forward, eventually, yeah, they can become obsolete. Their skill set can become obsolete. And for those individuals, that could be scary.
So you know what, Meredith, as a
Hmm.
gift to all these people, and you can put it in Builder Town Hall. In Sales Central, I did that program called The Irreplaceable Human.
Oh
And
yeah,
in there,
yeah.
it kind of showed the collaboration that will happen, like how that all works. And I won't go into that, but I will give you that slide deck and you can put it into
Okay.
the town hall and people can get it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Carrie.
Hey, and Meredith, to that point, I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting to note for me the beginning of my training career started because I was the only one in my division that wanted to embrace DocuSign without aging myself. Wanted to embrace and learn it and actually start to teach it because I was like, this is going to make our job easier. And now we can't even think about functioning without DocuSign. So it's the same thing. We just have to be willing to embrace the technology, again, use it responsibly, and dive all the way into it because it's gonna
Yeah.
help us do what we do at a higher level.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened with me in lead management. Was I started teaching teams and people that they didn't want to manage their online leads. I started teaching them, and the next thing I know, somebody goes, "Can I pay you to come to my builder and teach my team that?" She said, "What would you charge?" And I looked at her and I go, "What would you pay?" She goes, she rattles off some ridiculously low number now, right? And I go, "Okay, let's do that." You're right, Corey. I jumped on a train, you know, and some trains you jump on and it turns out to be a bust. But then look at the stupid QR code. You know, it like went nowhere, nothing. And it was a train we jumped on and it fizzled. It was like, okay, well, that's a nothing. And then COVID shows up and then and then you don't need an app for it anymore and you use your camera and then every restaurant's using it. And then hello, they're back, you know. So has a funny way of showing up. Ange.
Well, Brian McCarthy from at Brazo Homes had a quote, which I hung on to, that if you don't have a future activity in your CRM, you have no future. I mean, it's bold, it's bold, but you know, you gotta say
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have a future activity in your CRM, you don't have a future.
Hey, Mayor, I have a question for you to ask the panelists regarding
Please, you
the,
just ask them. You ask them.
well, regarding the fun factor part of it and culture, because that was a thread at the Builder Show too, that regardless of what you were listening to, you did hear that culture and starting at the top and filtering it through and all that was prevalent. So I would love to see like you guys, your takeaway and what you're doing, because I know we talked in that program about one builder, Copper Builders, remember, who they've put the fun factor in. They have a part on their website that about us that actually says we build cool shit.
They
That
do.
is genuine. So talk about that, you guys, a little bit about the culture aspect of all of this, AI and you name it. Dusty, you look like you've got something rattling upstairs.
Yeah, I mean it's something where I won't say who it was, but you know, it was probably around October, Halloween time or so, where there was a competitive builder that had a really cool video that they shared on their social platforms. I caught it on LinkedIn, and it was a way to show culture without being pushy. Again, it's not pushing things out. It's really kind of drawing people in and just showing the faces behind the company and the organization. And it was like a spin-off of like The Shining,
Yeah.
and they rode like a bike through all their offices, had it all, you know, decorated. If anyone's on this town hall that was doing that, bravo to you, because it was something that stuck out to me, and I'm like, there's got to be a way to do something along the same lines that makes it that much more memorable down the road.
Yeah. Whatever you're wanting to do to attract your buyers to you, you want to be doing internally to pump up, connect, build relationships among your team so your team can carry that out.
Yes.
Yeah. I think
Otherwise, it's not going to be that fun.
I think there's a huge difference between what we say our culture is and what our culture actually is. And now is a really interesting time in history, especially in this industry, where we went through COVID, obviously, where things got shaken up quite a bit. And now we have this influx of AI coming in at the same time. And if you're not on top of your culture, it can get away from you. And I always warn sales leaders that I talk to, if you're not at the head of creating your company culture, it will get created on its own, and you might not like what you end up with. So it's really important that we focus on, as AI comes in, as we adjust from all the things that happen with COVID and the market readjusts, that we have a real good sense of what our culture is and what we want it to be, more importantly.
Wow.
Every organization has a culture. The question is, did you intentionally create it, or did it accidentally get created? And is it working for you and your organization? But every single one, every organization has a culture. There's no such thing as not having one.
Right.
So
Even
okay.
divisions have cultures, by the way.
Yes, within the yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift a little bit as we start to, pull all this together and think about, what do we do with all of this great knowledge or information? Do the three of you, do you have any particular, tips or practices that you do when you come home from a conference and you've got pages of notes, or on your iPad, or however it is you take your notes? Anything that you do with that to try to make use of it?
Shannon, you're muted.
It'll catch up. Just give it a second. Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Obviously we talked about this, that as a team, we brought all of our notes together, but the first thing I do is I have copious notes, and I try to translate them as quickly as possible, because some of them I'm afraid won't make sense after a while, because it's just scratched words oftentimes. So really trying to go through and pick out all of those key points and put them down, and then from there start to formulate a plan of what is the actionable items and what are the things that are kind of conversations for a greater team.
Okay, I like that. So going back through, reviewing, interpreting your own handwriting, clarifying, kind of separating ideas from action items.
Yeah.
Okay. Corey, how about you? Any practices that help you?
Yeah, I think Shannon nailed it with action items. But for me, it's breaking them down into levels and layers and figuring out, okay, what are the things that are really close within reach of what we can do immediately? What are the changes that we can put into place? I'm talking about, like, on the airplane ride home, what can we make happen right now? And then what are the things that are going to take a little bit more intentionality, a little bit more legwork to make the change that we want to make? And just structuring out, hey, let's knock out the things that we can knock out quickly, but let's also sit back and create a plan of what this big change that we want to create, what does that look like, instead of just diving into it and kind of building the wings on the way down. Normally my strategy, but in this case, just having a game plan, a roadmap of, hey, what does that huge, massive shift in the world that we're living in look like?
Nice. Dusty, how about you?
Well, I gotta say, I'm totally gonna steal Shannon's idea of coming back together as a group and debriefing each other, because that's something that we don't do, and it ties back to what Corey said with whole, consumption to development. That's been a struggle of mine. I think organizations I've been with in the past, where we consume a lot of stuff, and we come back, and you're behind because you missed a week, and it's just back to the same old with dealing with fire drills here, fire drills there. So I love the intentionality of coming back together and debriefing. And then what Corey said is prioritizing what can be done now and then making a plan long term. So, I've got several notes. We use a project management system that we try to use so that we at least put ideas and something in there. So it's not just one of those Word documents that gets funneled down, on your desktop with the other thousands of icons that are on there. So it's at least kept somewhere where it's front of mind all the time.
Hey, I have one here after all the
Okay.
builder show, is that what I did, because I'm Shannon, also kind of copious note, but I'm also cliff notes. And if I don't read them back right away in a month, I'm like, the heck was that thought? But I quarter blocked things for my companies, that what because you already have a business plan for the year. So where do you slot that? So I quarter blocked, to Corey's point, low hanging fruit, do it. But then let's look at this second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And if in fact it gets moved to 2025, but it's somewhere in writing, I promise you stuff gets done when you quarter block it.
I love that. I love that idea. Yeah. How about
Because
you,
you need to
Angela?
start, right? I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that's always the hard part. And I think, there's that, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? I mean, that's sort of but it is something that when I was talking with, we mentioned Eastbrook Homes as an example in our presentation, and what I consider their fun factor is all of their education on their site. They have a huge number of resources and such, and it can be overwhelming. But, Sarah told me, she said, that's 9 years of content. So they did have to start somewhere, right? They had to start at the beginning and then and grow it. So I think the key is just, to start. I think sometimes we're just afraid to take that leap.
Mhm. I look at the overall, I don't know if it's the feeling, but maybe no, it's the experience. I look at the overall experience that I want to create or that I want to change for our clients as a result of attending something and taking a ton of notes. And I kind of think about that like in terms of a word or a phrase. Like, I want to shift towards this. And it's about them and it's not about me. And then from there, the action items, I hadn't thought about putting them into quarters in terms of how to accomplish them. I love that idea. I could definitely use that. But I feel like if you know the big picture that you're going for, it may not be something that you exactly wrote down as a note from attending, but it might be another choice that you make that's a little bit different than what you might have made before, because you were changed, you were transformed, you were developed, Corey, by the material and the things that you took in. And so then you go, okay, now I take that growth as a salesperson, as a marketer, as an OSC, just as a person, a leader. And now I make new choices, or I communicate more effectively, or whatever, because this is the experience I'm looking to create.
Yep. Fabulous. I think Meredith, and everybody saw it at the Builder Show, you all represent it. We learned that how do you best make people feel? Not just what they see, not just what they hear, not what they get. How do you and your company make other people feel? Because that's what they're going to respond to.
Yes. And just being together as an industry, being together with your team of people, if you have a team, or if you're a solopreneur, or you're with your husband, business partner, and your 16-year-old teenager at the show. Yay me. Love you guys so much. You still, whoever you were there with, there is energy, there is a re-energizing of passion, of excitement towards what you're doing. Everybody needs that. Everybody needs, just like a Tesla, to plug in and get their battery filled up. And then once you're filled up, you can then give away how you make people feel. You have reserves to give that to others, and that experience that you create when they interact with you, whether it's the external team or the internal team, or it's your relationships or whomever it is. So final words, Shannon, Corey, Dusty, something that we've still got a couple minutes, something that you didn't get to share, or that you wanted people to know, or
Corey, come on. You're going,
I'm,
let me out, let me
you
out.
got one, you got one. We know it.
clearly
Come
the shy
on.
one wants to speak. No, I will say and I've tried to take this to transformation and development, is stories matter. Stories still matter. And that can be a lot of different things. One of the great speakers there, again, we won't say his name, but the story of your customer is really, really important. And making sure that we take the time to understand that is huge. But also on the flip side, our story is equally important. And how do we make sure that our story bleeds through our entire company? Every single
Yes.
person that is customer facing understands and can speak to what our story is hugely important. So I took storytelling and story gathering from this past week, and I've tried to implement that even in my own content creation over this last week. I've been pretty open with the audiences out there. So I think getting back to stories has been really important.
Yeah. People want to know you.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like why? Like, you might feel like, your average whatever, like, I don't know. But that's not true. People want to know you. And it's true about your company. They want to know your story of your company, your founder, or the charitable things you're involved in, the fun things you do. They want to know you. So tell them the story of it. I love that. Dusty, how about you? What else?
Yeah, I would say to piggyback on that for us, it's going to be a lot of alignment because again, the stories matter between the buyers and the builder. We want to make sure that we represent what we want them to feel like when they come and purchase a home by the Providence Group. So anything from their first interaction with us, whether it's website, an ad they interacted with, social media, whatever, all the way to when they purchase and close a home, we want to make sure that every department is aligned with how we're communicating and how we're making those homeowners feel. So we're going through implementations with Salesforce and creating journeys and making sure that the messaging across all aspects is the same.
I love that.
Yep,
Yeah.
silos.
Shannon, how about you?
Similarly, are doing a lot of the same thing with that storytelling and relooking at a lot of our website content, social post, and really making sure we're realigning there. But the other thing that we really focused on as one of our action items for like the next couple months is with AI and there being so many things, instead of going and trying 18 different platforms all at once, picking one or two, picking a couple of things that you want to do and really honing in and accomplishing that before you do something else, because it can be so overwhelming. So that's kind of our big takeaway.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do it all, nor should you, because you won't be successful at everything.
Right.
Fun. Yes, Dusty.
Yeah, I like it. Angela, anything to impart as we wrap up?
Well, no, I feel like, Shannon, on your, like all of the different tools are a little bit like all the apps we've got on our phone that we don't use or that we thought was a good idea at the time when we downloaded them, right? So I think to your point, really, the 10 productivity tools apps that I have downloaded on my phone, it sort of equates to use the one that works. It's the same as the CRM. The best CRM is the one that you use. So it's, hone in, focus on one or two and really get good at that. I think that's the other thing that we did not talk about at all, but was the show floor and the surprise in color. I know we just have like 2 minutes, but I loved all the color and just I don't think I'd ever put pink appliances in my house, but my goodness, like there was a lot of color. It was fantastic.
For a toilet as big as the country.
Yes. And a mix master.
Wow. Cool.
But that's always a highlight for me, is just doing a brief, just walk up the floor and seeing what those latest trends are.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Dusty. You gave your time and talent today and expertise. We really appreciate it very much. Hopefully, if you didn't get to attend, you feel a little bit more up to speed and like you got some information. At least it's enough to know like what else you want to go pursue and learn more about that your colleagues were learning about. So that could be helpful to you. Carrie and Angela, thank you.
Thank
As
you.
always. We will reconvene in April and more on what that topic will be about when I know it. Thank you. Thanks all. Have a
Authenticity.
great rest of your
Yeah.
Friday
Yes.
and a good weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye,
now.
everybody.
Bye.